All right, well, London Mayor Sadiq Khan recently said that the terror attacks are part and parcel now for big cities. Former UK Independence Party leader Nigel Farage says that kind of thinking is a mistake. In other words, what he is saying, Nigel, is that you got to deal with it. It's just life in big cities. What did you make of that and the message it sends?
Well, I think there's a bit of a trend here, because just 2 days after that horrendous lorry attack that took place in Nice back on July the 14th, 2 days afterwards, the French Prime Minister Manuel Valls said that this is a part of life in modern-day France. So Valls says it in Nice. Sadiq Khan says that it applies to big cities. I mean, you may as well just put up the white flag of surrender to say, we're just going to normalise terrorism. And what makes me really annoyed is it's the very same political class who have, whenever anybody has questioned open-door immigration, whenever anybody says, look, surely we should security check people, we should make sure that newcomers into our country agree with our values, gets condemned. And what I'd like to see from the French Prime Minister and from Sadiq Khan, before they say anything, is an apology for what their policies and their ideas have done to all of us.
But, Nigel, this does seem to be a growing sentiment among political leaders who say, we acknowledge terror and the threat, but don't make too big a deal of it. John Kerry, our Secretary of State, recently saying that he wished the media wouldn't constantly cover it, words to that effect. We've even, heard those who are on the other side of the aisle, including first Homeland Security Secretary Tom Ridge, saying more people are killed in car crashes and all that than what happened with terrorists. All true. But I think they minimize the threat when they minimize the numbers and compare them to other numbers. What do you think?
Well, that's right. And I mean, Bill de Blasio, is still in denial, it seems to me, about what happened in New York last week. Every time we get one of these horrendous incidents, more in Europe than America, but wherever they take place, immediately this same clique of people rush to say, of course, it's got nothing to do with terror. It's certainly got nothing to do with religion. This is just just get on with it, guys. This is part of our everyday life. And they're in denial. They cannot admit to the people the extent of their failure, and they don't want to have an open, honest debate about how we deal with this.
All right. Now, an open, honest debate, Donald Trump says, would be to recognize a war on terror, an actual war. He has said if he became president, he'd get a plan from his top generals within 30 days to take out ISIS once and for all. Is that even possible now, given the fact that ISIS and these other terror groups seem so widespread, they almost don't need a homeland. They're everywhere.
Yeah, I mean, look, the fact that Trump is talking about borders, is talking about security, is saying that the US government has a responsibility to its own citizens, all of that is absolutely right, and I think may well win him this presidential election. But when it comes to taking out ISIS, that's not so simple. There isn't just sort of one command center. In fact, in many ways, ISIS is a little bit like the multi-headed Hydra. There are lots of little bits of ISIS all over the place. I am yet to be convinced that there is a military means to simply take out ISIS unless we're prepared to accept that we work with Middle Eastern and North African governments and fight a campaign that may last for 10 or 20 years. But we can't do it. America and Britain on their own cannot do this without possibly stoking up more young generations to move towards the ISIS cause. We've got to get those countries and those armies involved as well.
There's still some debate, as you and I are speaking, Nigel, about Seattle, or north of Seattle, Washington State, a mall attack that involved 5 deaths. A gentleman behind that, but we're told of Hispanic descent, and as if people were bending over backwards not to say Middle Eastern descent. Now, they may be proven right, I have no idea, but there's a real reluctance to attach anything that looks like this could be something bigger than it first appears. And I understand that you don't want to jump to conclusions, but the knee-jerk reaction, invariably, just as it was last week in New York, don't call it, a terrorist event.
Yeah, this is denial, and we see a political class in denial. We see quite large sections of the liberal media equally in denial. And of course, you know, what they fear is if they admit the truth and if they admit their failings, that Trump will get even stronger in this campaign. So whatever happens between now and November the 8th, expect these people to go on denying. And Hillary, top of the tree for that.
We shall see. Probably will come up once or twice in the debate. Nigel Farage, thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right.